Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here for our Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. Today we have Bradley Durrill. He is the Clinical Supervisor of Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health at the Florida Center, and we're going to talk about how play benefits children's mental health. What is play and how do kids play? And we're going to hear from Bradley on what his perspectives are as he's been working with kids for quite a long time. Play is a lot of different ways that children can play. It can be imaginative, storytelling, object play, body play. It can be narrative for them. There is a National Institute for Play by Dr. Stuart Brown. He has a book on it and talks about how play is so beneficial for even adult mental health. So Bradley, can you explain to us how adults can encourage children's play and healthy play for them?
Sure, thank you, Jonna. So adults are so influential in that encouragement of children's play. I think that children naturally play and they will always find ways to play with whatever space or materials or time that they have. They just seem to kind of naturally gravitate toward playing. But adults can certainly encourage play in certain ways. Probably one of the more common approaches that I've seen is to provide like directions for children on how to play with maybe a game or maybe a craft with some prepared materials or ideas where the adult is kind of giving the child some guidance into a direction to take with play. But one of the main ways that we help families and children in a mental health process is to encourage the adults in their life to help the children play in a way where it's kind of all on them. And by that I mean where the child is the one leading the playtime and they're kind of coming up with their own ideas, whatever it is in their own heart or mind. And the adult's role is what we would call more non-directive, and it can be really fun because you get to really see what's going on in that child's heart or their mind.
Neat. Would you
Yeah,
call that centered play?
yeah. So that's one of the terms for it, child-centered, or some people call it non-directive play. Um, yeah, and so child-centered just essentially means that every aspect of that play is centered around that child's experience. And so the whole idea is to not do anything as a grown up to lead them in their play or interfere with their own expression in that moment.
And how would you say play benefits their mental health?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So when we work with young children, you quickly realize that they're always playing. Um, if you put some children into a room and just let them do whatever they wanted to do, they would immediately start playing and make use of their space and materials. And so knowing that, they naturally gravitate toward play, you can harness that. It's almost like a vehicle. If you think about a vehicle that's just going, it's driving off. It's kind of how do you harness the power of that vehicle to direct it towards something that's going to improve their mental health. And um, but we know that children learn from their play and they express what's going on inside of themselves through their play, and they express what's going on in their external world through their play. And so, as a safe grown up, if you can be a safe grown up and just be with a child while they're playing and accept them in the moment and really try to understand what they're doing and what they're saying through their play, the experience for the child is one of acceptance and being understood by somebody that they really care about. And that's really the ultimate therapy for the child. So if you can create that kind of environment or experience, what you're doing is providing that kind of like fertile ground for a child's mental health to start blossoming.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
another question, I know a lot of families are at home now with COVID-19 and spending a lot of time there, and there may be more opportunities for parents, even though despite some of the stress that they're experiencing and maybe that's not on the top of their list to play with their children. And
Mhm.
what are ways that you would encourage parents to engage with their kids at home now, as most of them are at home doing their studies online and at all different ages?
Yeah, it's definitely stressful for all of us right now, and myself included, doing this work, but then being at home with my family and my children, it is challenging to switch gears from like adult mode and go into being with children mode and playing with children. But I think something that's reassuring that you brought up in a previous conversation is that all the research tells us that if parents can be good enough, that that is actually um, optimal for children. Just to have a parent who's good enough. And what that essentially means is that that parent shows the child that they're interested in them and willing to play with them. Um, and not necessarily in a way where they're overdoing it, but um, even some research shows like 30% of the time, if you can show your child that you really want to try hard to understand them 30% of the time, that goes an extremely long way in communicating your love and your valuing of that child.
Would you say that just their presence, like being there and kind of active listening, uh, even while a parent may be working at home, just being present with their child, maybe while they're playing, could even help too, even if the parent's not able to get down and play, but just being there, being present, maybe doing a little active listening and feedback to them. Do you think that could even work to encourage play for them?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. In fact, and I think children are pretty understanding about that because typically grown-ups don't play with children, I would say for the majority of the time. So children really notice when an adult takes the time to spend playing with them. And I think it could just be a simple statement from a parent to say, hey, I'm not going to play that with you, but I'll watch you play and I will listen to you while you play. Children tend to be pretty understanding of that. And one thing I've noticed that if a parent can comment on their child's play actively, as it's going on, that goes such a long way in communicating to the child that the parent cares enough to pay attention and also understands what the child is doing. And a lot of times that seems to be all that that child really needs to feel loved and to feel understood. Um, so we sometimes describe that as like narrating their play, um, or describing what you see them doing in their play and that kind of thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Started making me think that it's going to be beneficial for adults probably now to even play with kids. As the National Institute of Play by Dr. Stuart Brown has a book on it, and then you can go to their website as well to learn that how play is beneficial for even us adults and how important it is for our mental health. So I do encourage you all to get down. Maybe you don't have kids, but go find children, or of course within family members, to 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 play and to engage with them, not just to benefit them and their mental health, but I think play could all do us all well in this time that we're in our global pandemic. Well, thank you so much, Bradley, for being here and joining in on this week of We're just bringing awareness to children's mental health.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I actually forgot to introduce myself at the beginning, but I will say I'm Jonna Bryn, the Director of Training and Professional Development at the Florida Center for our new Training Institute. So please check out our both websites, and we are happy to have you all view and join our YouTube page and follow us on social media. And there's also a donate button if you contribute to our nonprofit 501c3 organization here in Sarasota, Florida. Again, thank you. And this concludes our week of Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. And we do have more webinars coming next week, so check out our website. Thank you so much.
Thank you.